The rest of the boys
Bye.
will move on to Flamin' Hot. I was about to call it Frito-Lay. Flamin' Hot. It's the movie. You spoiler for what your take is on it. So Flamin' Hot is the inspiring true story, big asterisk, of Richard Montañez, the Frito-Lay janitor who channeled his Mexican-American heritage and upbringing to turn the iconic Flamin' Hot Cheetos into a snack that disrupted the food industry and became a global pop culture phenomenon. So, which I wasn't aware of until Seth brought up while I was watching it. He was like, "Oh, I guess this story's not even true." And then I Googled it, and then he never, no one, there's so many disputes on he did not invent the Flamin' Hot Cheeto. With people within Frito-Lay has said that's true. There's been other external investigations that said that's true. When they did a big investigation into it in 2017, internally at Frito-Lay, did he invent it? He retired from the company, so I feel like that's kind of should tell you everything you need to know. But the thing is that is true. He absolutely was a janitor at Frito-Lay that worked his way up to being an executive level marketing worker at Frito-Lay in the executive suites. So that's a very impressive feat in itself. So that's Richard Montañez has a great pull up by your bootstraps, work your way up from the bottom story, but the Flamin' Hot invention part seems to be a fabrication. So still very inspiring story of what he was able to do with his career, but in terms of what, the movie's trying to be about, the Flamin' Hot doesn't seem to be true. And for me, when I went into this movie, I didn't really care for the invention of Flamin' Hot before I even started this movie. And then when Seth enlightened me that this isn't even a true story, I was just completely out of it by that point. So I'll just quickly end out. We're not going to go through spoilers, so whatever. Because there's nothing.
Spoilers.
Spoiler. You can buy Flamin' Hot Frito-Lays.
And it's not even real.
Yeah. But for me, this just felt like a very big, just trying to be a feel-good biopic of a guy who's down on his luck. Society's got him beaten down and he's able to make his way to the top and succeed. And for a movie aspect, there's some lighthearted, cute moments. If we're just totally ignoring the fact that it's not true, just talking about the movie itself, it's a cool idea having a man and his family just trying to be cooking every night after work, trying to invent this new flavor, blending up spices and powders, trying to figure it all out. But yeah, a lot of it felt corny. At its best, it was a very surface level biopic we've seen 100 times. Very interesting debut by Eva Longoria, directorial debut, because this just wasn't that inspired. There was nothing interesting from a directorial standpoint. The biggest thing that I think she did, which is just a complete beginner newbie move, is just and we talked about in the group chat, just so many voiceovers. The whole movie was just voiceovers. And I feel like that's it's such a debut movie to have just all these voiceovers. It felt very novice, felt very trivial. I really am surprised with the high reviews this is getting. We're reviewing two movies this week that the consensus review, if you had to take the average of what most people are saying, not just the audience, but critics, would be a 3 to 3.5. I'm just completely off on both of those. But yeah, I literally have nothing more to say. For me, it's a 1.5 star, 3.4 out of 10. I didn't hate watching it. I watched it and just kind of went in one ear, went out the other. I wasn't really engaged, but I wasn't necessarily being oh my God, that's so bad, I need to turn it off. But yeah, it was a bad movie, brought nothing new, and it's not even a true story. So whatever. Which, one quick last comment before I turn it over to you guys. I think realism in movies is overrated. I don't think you have to be super historically accurate in your movies or historically accurate at all. Just because I think as a filmmaker, you have the freedom to do whatever you want, as long as you're not being disrespectful to anything historically. But if the whole basis of your movie is saying this is a true story of how it was invented, that's where I have an issue. So I just want to say, just in case my review sounds hypocritical, where I'm it's not even true, so I'm rating it low. There's plenty of movies where if there's some battle, if a Dunkirk type movie, if a battle didn't go exactly like that and they embellish some stuff, I have zero problem with that. But if you're making a movie about a war and saying that this is a true story, and say that America didn't win the Revolutionary War and we're still a colony of England, then it'd be what are you doing calling this a true story? What are you doing here? But I'll leave it there. 1.5 star for me. Just dry, boring, not Flamin' Hot. Seth, what were your thoughts on this masterpiece of corporate propaganda?
Yeah, I fucking hated this one. I completely agree with you. Where it's I think realism. Okay, 1917, perfect example. There is a lot of stuff in that isn't historically accurate, but I think you can give it a pass at certain times when they're not trying to present that. and it's just supposed to be a depiction. But with Flaming Hot, you know, if this had been a film where it was like some guy who worked his way from the bottom to the top, it wasn't represented by a true story or a real company, whatever. It's a service level film, feel good film. There's been harm and different before, whatever. But for me, this is just like an ego boosting 90-minute advertisement. It's a boost to sales executives trying to sell a false dream of the economic system. Say, you know, this is how you can do it, yada yada yada, and it really is just a walking advertisement. I think it's for lack of a better term, absolute just a load of shit, and I hated it. I will say that as a film, I don't think it's necessarily awful. I think that Eva Longoria, is that how you say it? Yeah. I think that she has, I guess, a style there. I don't think it's the worst debut I've ever seen. I just completely disagree with the fact it's represented as a base of a true story, and it's a very much a painted rags to riches story that sells a false dream. And it really is an advertisement, which again is fine because we get biopics. A lot of biopics are really business advertisements, what they are. But when it's based on something that isn't true and is trying to be inspiring, that's where I kind of take issue. But it's like Tyler said, you know, the real guy did kind of work his way from nothing. You know, maybe not invented it or whatever, but he did work his way from nothing. I'd have preferred just a film like that. Do you know what I mean? A film about him working his way from the top, and an inspiring story where he got to a really high level, and it's like, okay, great, cool. So maybe surface level, inspiring, happy-go-lucky, whatever. Guys goes from nothing to something. I like watching them; they're always fun. But I just don't agree with it. It's based on something that's completely painted, and it just sells you something that isn't true. But again, I get why the average person would kind of go into this and just watch it and be like, yeah, this was inspiring. This is kind of feel good. And I do understand that. I just kind of, I don't know. It kind of rubs me the wrong way when films take this approach. But yeah, I give it a 1 out of 5.
Tough side. I'm not going to harp on it too long because you guys basically echo everything, all my sentiments on this movie. I even watched this movie like I was working from home on Friday, so I watched it in between the 2 tennis matches. And sometimes when I work from home and I watch movies, like I'll literally stop working because of how enthralled I am in the film. I was like half paying attention. You guys kind of said it best. This just felt like an hour and a half advertisement for Frito-Lays and the glories of working in corporate America. And I don't know, none of it like made me feel like uplifted. None of it made me feel, you know, anything. It just felt like a very dull hour and a half, painting this rags to riches stories that I end up finding out isn't even like true. So yeah, I went with a 2 out of 5. I didn't love it. I'm not going to harp on it too long. Everything you guys say, I completely agree with.
Yeah, it's the scene especially is going to be a big time. Like corporate's going to show off to their employees, and they're like, "Look, this one guy paid attention to my corporate video from the CEO."
That's
like,
what I mean.
Like, you see, you got to pay attention to these. If you send me good suggestions, like maybe you can be the one who will rise to the top.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Rough movie. We can end it there. Like it seems like similar to what Seth wanted to say as a caveat for Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I'll say here, it seems like a lot of people are enjoying this and getting a kick out of it, and it's definitely something you could easily throw on with like the family or something and have like a fine watch through. So I don't want to rain on everyone's parade, and it definitely like it's weird that all 3 of us like really didn't like this because like we said, like it is getting pretty much like a 3.5 across the board for the most part. So all 3 of us were much lower on it, but don't take our word as the Bible here. It's on Hulu and Disney Plus, and also I think in theaters too. So if you want to see this, you have really every option in the world to go and watch it.
Yeah, go and see it in IMAX or something.
Go and see it in 4DX, and you'll leave with like Cheeto powder cover fingers or something. But we'll end the reviews there.